All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a question that's, well, it's shaped pretty much every civilization ever. How do you build a society that's genuinely good? And at the very heart of that question is this massive tug-of-war between the individual and the group, the one versus the many.
So yeah, this is the big one. Who comes first? The individual, with all their rights and dreams and freedoms? Or does the group, the collective, get top priority? I mean, the answers to this question, they're the reason we have the world we have today. They've sparked revolutions, built empires, and torn them down.
Okay, so to really get a grip on this, let's look at the two polar opposite answers. We're talking about the two extremes that have basically set the terms for this debate for hundreds of years.
So on one end of the spectrum, you've got individualism. The idea here is simple. The individual is king. They are the most important thing. But on the complete opposite side, you have communism, where the collective is supreme. It's sanctified, which is a fancy way of saying it's treated as sacred, placed above everything and everyone else. These are just two totally different ways of looking at the world.
All right, let's dive into that first extreme. What actually happens when you try to build a whole society on the idea that the individual is all that matters? So, in its purest, most extreme form, individualism says that your rights, your goals, your happiness, that's the absolute top priority. The group, the collective, well, it's only really there to help you get what you want.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. If you go so far down this road that you weaken the collective, well, you end up hurting the very individual you were trying to protect. 'Cause think about it. Who do you need for defense, for support, for, building roads and stuff? You need the group. It kind of shoots itself in the foot.
Okay, so let's swing the pendulum all the way to the other side. If putting the individual first has this major flaw, what happens when you decide the collective is everything? And that brings us to communism. The logic here gets turned completely on its head. It's all about the health and strength of the group. That's the number one goal. And if individual rights or a person's value has to be sacrificed to get there, then so be it.
This right here really says it all, doesn't it? The collective is sanctified at the expense of the individual. It's presented as a zero-sum game. For the group to get stronger, the individual has to get weaker. It's a direct trade-off.
But hang on a second. What even is a collective? It's just a bunch of individuals, right? So if you start weakening all the people who make up the group, have you actually made the group stronger? The argument here is no. You've basically done nothing at all. It's a paradox. You've just created a weak group made of weakened people. So, okay, if both of these extremes kind of fall apart when you look at them closely, then what's left? Is there another option? Well, the philosophy we're looking at today says yes. It proposes a third way, one that tries to solve this whole problem. It's called the absolute good. And the core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also revolutionary. It just says, what if you don't have to choose? What if the goal is to find a way for something to be good for the individual and good for the collective at the exact same time? No trade-off.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. It's not just about the individual and the collective anymore. This philosophy introduces a third, crucial piece to the puzzle, the family. Why? Well, because the family is what produces, raises, and supports new individuals. So for something to be an absolute good, it has to work for all three: the individual, the family, and the collective.
Okay, but this whole absolute good thing doesn't just happen on its own. It's not magic. It depends on people, what the source material calls noble individuals. These are people who have restraint, who have compassion, and who are willing to make sacrifices for the group. But, and this is key, they do it knowing that a strong, healthy group is ultimately good for them too.
So this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But it begs a massive question. How do you get people like that? How do you create these noble individuals? What's the secret sauce, the blueprint for building a society that can actually pull this off? So, yeah, how do you achieve this incredible, delicate balance? Well, the answer proposed here isn't some new, complicated political formula. It's actually a really ancient, really profound ethical idea that's been around for a very, very long time.
And here it is. Love your fellow man as yourself. This is pointed to as the master principle. It comes from Rabbi Akiva, something like 2,000 years ago. And this one idea, this one sentence, is suggested as the key to creating the kind of people and the kind of mindset that can make the absolute good a reality.
But you might be thinking, okay, but is that it? Is love all it takes? And the answer given here is not quite.
Love is absolutely essential, but on its own, it's not enough. To be truly powerful, it has to be balanced with another, equally important human quality.
And here are the two forces we're talking about. On one side, you have love and compassion. That's our impulse to forgive, to be generous. But on the other side, you have fierceness and judgment, our drive to demand justice and accountability. The idea here is that real moral truth is like a yin and yang. You need both. Love without judgment can be naive, and judgment without love can be cruel.
And when you successfully combine these two things, you get something new. You get mercy. And this is important. Mercy isn't just letting everything slide. It's not blind forgiveness. It's smarter than that. It's compassion that's been strengthened and informed by a clear-eyed sense of judgment.
So let's bring it back to that simple phrase, as yourself. What does that really mean in practice? Well, let's be honest. We all have this tendency, right? We're super quick to forgive ourselves, to make excuses for our own mistakes, but for other people, we can be pretty harsh judges. This principle is basically saying, stop doing that. Correct that imbalance. Try to give other people the same break you automatically give yourself.
And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What does it take to build a society that is truly good for all? This isn't just some abstract idea to kick around. It's a real challenge for each of us, for our families, and for our whole society. How do we find that balance, that difficult, messy, beautiful balance of mercy to actually create a world that works for everyone?